We are now only a few days out from the Xbox Game Showcase, where we'll finally get to see some Halo Infinite gameplay. The long wait to see what Halo Infinite will be about will finally be over. As many of you know if you follow the channel, I'm not a huge campaign person besides just playing through them once or twice after the game comes out, so this video is not really going to have much in terms of campaign predictions besides just some general things. That said, so far 343 has only confirmed we will see campaign gameplay. So with all that said, let's hop into what I think we'll see and what I want to see from the Halo Infinite reveal. So the first topic I want to touch on, which is actually a topic I don't think we're going to see at all during the reveal stream, and that is monetization. Due to the fact that this reveal stream isn't a full deep dive about Halo Infinite, I don't really anticipate them getting into the nitty gritty, and one of those nitty gritty items being monetization. However, I thought I would touch on it because it is a desire of mine going forward as we get closer to release. I think it's unreasonable in this day and age to ask for a game that has no microtransactions or no post-game monetization model at all. So with that said, here's kind of what I would like to see, assuming we have to have some type of monetization after purchasing the game. Ideally, obviously, I would just say we could pay $60 for the game and everything would be included in that game, but we all know that just isn't the case in modern gaming. So out of all the monetization and microtransaction models, I would say that getting a battle pass is probably the least egregious. Like many games, I assume this is going to be the path they take, and I expect it to be very similar to other games where you have a paid and free version. The free version is going to give you some skins and some items, but the paid version is going to be where you get a majority of the cool stuff. I expect, just like other games, we're going to get different seasons of the battle pass, that it's probably going to coincide with different content drops, which can be looked at as a good or bad thing depending how you think about it. I mentioned this before, but I'm actually not a huge battle pass person just because it's so hard in this day and age to actually get to the end of a battle pass unless it's literally the only game you play. Since Halo is my main game, it actually is a battle pass all finish. However, even though I say that, a battle pass model is still much better than something like a loot box model. I would also like to see, if possible, directly buyable skins. So if there's a skin that we specifically want, we can just go ahead and buy it for X amount of money. Now I hope they don't go the Valorant route and charge us almost $100 for them, but if we can directly purchase skins for maybe $5 or $10, I think that would be a good compromise too. Next topic I want to talk about is the campaign, which is obviously going to be the main portion of this reveal. I think what we're going to end up seeing is a new campaign trailer with some gameplay portion, probably pre-recorded and different little snippets I would guess from the earlier portions of the game. I do think that this campaign gameplay is going to show us the mechanics of the game, so we'll get into that in the next section about what I think we'll see in terms of mechanics for Halo Infinite. We also know that the Banished have been confirmed, so we're going to see the Brutes back in Halo. The Brutes were a really fun enemy to fight, and I'm happy to see them back, so I think they'll both be included in the campaign trailer along with some of the gameplay portions. We don't know if they're going to be the only enemy, or if the Prometheans will also make a return, or maybe even something like the Flood. I do hope if the Prometheans make a return that they're a bit more fun to fight, as fighting them in Halo 4 and 5 got a little boring at times. I will say though that even if the Prometheans shared the same gameplay style that they did in the previous games, intermixing it with other enemy types might actually be enough to make it enjoyable, because you'll have the Banished there, which is already confirmed, and like I said, maybe something like the Flood too. The Flood are also an enemy type that I don't find overly enjoyable to fight, but intermixed with other enemies, they can liven up some of the combat sequences. Outside of that, I don't really have too many other campaign predictions or hopes because I'm just not a huge campaign person. I do hope we see some type of return of a challenge system or just anything that gives the campaign replayability, so it's just not a one and done type deal. One thing that I would love to see though is the return of the Arbiter. He was one of my favorite characters back when he was still in the Halo franchise, and I would absolutely love to play as him again. I do think though this would be risky for 343, as they did get a lot of backlash back in Halo 5 for not letting us play Master Chief the whole time, so this would have to be something that would be no more than maybe a mission or two max. Or he could just be there as your companion and a playable character during co-op. Or maybe they even make it as a single player experience you can pick between playing as the Master Chief or the Arbiter. I think that would be pretty cool and allow players who want to play nothing but the Chief that option, but allow players who want to switch back and forth that option also. The next section I want to talk about is the mechanics of Halo Infinite. The mechanics of Halo Infinite are a huge talking point, as we all have been talking for years whether or not they're going to go back to their roots with a classic Halo style game, or they're going to keep the Halo 5 model of advanced mobility. Now first, I'm going to tell you what I would like to see, and that is just a full return to classic Halo. I would love to see something a la the evolution of a Halo 3, where they really build upon the Halo 3 sandbox and maybe just add little changes that do not change the core of the game. For me, I think that would be the most fun, and I really do think that could be successful in today's landscape. There's not many other games around that do something like Halo 3, so having that unique gameplay style in the gaming space could do a lot for Halo. Now that said, on the other end of the spectrum, we have the Halo 5 advanced mobility, and sadly, I think that is going to be what we get, or something a lot closer to that than classic Halo. Now don't get me wrong, by no means did I dislike Halo 5, and I actually found it a pretty good game. I just think that this is most likely the direction that they're going to go. Just the way that 343 has taken the Halo franchise from Reach to 4 and then 5, it seems that this is the gameplay style that they want. As I've said in other videos, I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing, but 343 just needs to pick a style and commit to it. What I do not want to see is that hybrid gameplay style that a lot of people talk about. If you played Halo 5 Mythic, this is kind of what I'm talking about, where it takes out some of the mechanics but leaves in other ones. In Mythic's particular case, it left in the thrust and the hover ability, but all the other abilities were taken out. A common hybrid suggestion that you see a lot is getting something like sprint and slide, while also taking out the other abilities. I don't necessarily think this would be the worst game in the world, but I think the game would have a much better identity if they either went with a full classic Halo game or a full advanced mobility game. So those are just kind of my hopes and predictions on that topic. Next up, let's talk about PvE content that isn't the campaign. 343 has said nothing in terms of Firefight making a return or the different Warzone modes, but I think it's almost guaranteed that 343 will try their hand at some type of game mode that is PvE focused, but not the campaign. I could really see a full return of Firefight being very fun, or maybe even something like Spartan Ops if they did it a little better than they did in Halo 4. This falls a little bit more under the hopes, as other than maybe a slight teaser, I don't anticipate them showing us anything about this during the reveal. Like I said though, I would not be surprised if we got a slight teaser that said, hey, on this date we're going to show our new PvE mode. Alright, now in the last section of this video, we're going to talk about multiplayer. We already touched about it a little bit when I talked about mechanics because those are directly related to multiplayer, but now we're going to talk about the gameplay of multiplayer, the teaser, and a possible beta. While in an ideal world, I would love to see gameplay of the multiplayer, see a full match of someone just getting into the game and playing it, followed up by a flight being rolled out right after the reveal, I do not think that's what we're going to get. What I think is most likely is some sort of multiplayer teaser, followed by a date that we're going to see more information. For me, that just seems the most logical since all they've mentioned about this show is the single player campaign. One thing that makes me hesitant about the flight is the fact that Halo Infinite is going to be an Xbox Series X game along with a PC game. Now, as you know, it will also be on the current Xbox One, but that will clearly be a weaker version of the game. Without the Xbox One Series X out, they would have to either run the beta on the Xbox One or the PC, and I just don't see them running the beta or the flight on that old hardware. To me, I just don't see them showing their brand new, expensive, huge title on older hardware that is clearly not going to do it justice. Now I know you're thinking, well then you just do a PC flight that would clearly show it justice because that's going to be the most powerful version of the game. And I totally agree with that, but I think there would be a whole ton of pushback if all we got was a PC flight. As happy as I am that Halo has made its return to PC, it is nowhere near being considered an actual PC franchise, and many Xbox fans would be extremely upset if the PC players got a flight and they did not. I think there would be a whole ton of backlash for that, and I don't think that's something that 343 wants to see. So since I just don't see them running the beta or the flight on the older hardware, and I don't see them running it on the PC for the reasons I just spoke about, I just don't see it likely that we're going to see a flight. I know that in the past they said we were going to get one, but things change, as I'm sure you're aware. More and more games these days anyways end up just dropping without having these huge buildups, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just waited until the game was completely ready to drop it on us. That is pretty much going to wrap it up for my Halo Infinite hopes and predictions. Let me know in the comments what you think we're going to see. As always, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. If you want to catch me Rec Noobs live, you can follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Arrrash with 3 R's, where I'll also be streaming the reveal event on Thursday. So I would love to see you over there during that. And if that isn't enough me for you, you can also follow me on Twitter at Arrrash with 4 R's. With that said, I'll see you all next time.